practice.
Yeah, I was talking about
Oh,
that.
girly is so funny. Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst lesson you've ever taught and 10 being the best, what would you rate that?
Maybe a 5.
Okay. What pleased you about it?
I liked that the kids had to find positive things about each other.
Mm-hmm. What else?
And positive things about their own writing, and that they were comfortable reading their text out loud. Probably because everyone was doing it.
Yep. What would you have to change to move it closer to a 10?
Watching it, I noticed how much, and looking at this, how much time was wasted with ums and ahs and like sorting papers out and making sure technology works. And
Okay. So trying to really refine that maybe?
Yeah.
And get that a little tighter?
So they have more time to write. And
Okay. And then what would your students be doing differently if your class was a 10?
they would seem more engaged just watching the fumbling around and in the back.
I think, though, you can also see some kids who were really engaged. So it's tapping into both pieces.
Yeah.
Like recognizing that there were definitely kids who were in it to win it the whole time, and
Yeah.
it's figuring out those kids in the back who maybe weren't as much.
Engaged as, and not to say that, not put it back on those kids, but it's the same kids, so how do I engage them in writing? How do I get them engaged in general?
Okay. So do you want that to be your goal? You can maybe play with some different engagement strategies.
No, because
That's okay.
with the kids that we would be talking about, the specific kids, we've done RTI things with them, we've done all the,
Okay.
and it's not that I want that to
Right.
happen, I just don't know that it's a goal that I will attain.
Okay. Well, and maybe the goal you choose will help create some of that engagement too. If we work through that.
Yeah.
So, do you have another goal in mind as you watched?
Having more student examples ahead of time.
Okay. So thinking through maybe more of that like lesson design and using mentor text and kind of that success criteria piece.
Yeah.
Okay.
My issue is like I can find great mentor text from authors but not students or like
Your own
lower level examples.
Okay. Could that come from your own modeling too, where it's like they can use that as a mentor or an example as well?
Yes.
Okay. So do you feel like it's then kind of working on the elements of that writing mini lesson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm struggling.
No,
It's just that.
this is supposed to, it's not, there's no perfect answer. Except right now because the camera's on. Because we want the goal to matter to you. Like at the end of it, if we spend all this time invested in, we're going to set this goal, we're going to monitor and say, here's our success criteria and here's what we're working for, and we want it to matter.
What is this?
That is the paper I gave you, but it was before spring break. It was like the scale thing. But yeah, that was the.
When I just look at some of these things, these are in general I need to do. This one, and I would say I'm like 2 maybe.
On the praise. Okay. Did you hear that when you were watching the lesson, or is that just something you've
both
reflected on? Okay.
I mean,
and that
there wasn't as
too.
much correction in this lesson because it was all about them revising and editing. But in general,
okay,
I think that's a big one for me.
Okay.
And Not always wasted time, but writing is a huge waste
Where
of
you
time.
feel that more.
Not waste of time, wasted time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you feel like that's happening? Did you notice more like the lesson felt like it lagged a little bit and that's where the wasted time was, or you felt like kids were wasting time?
I feel like kids waste time for us to get started in writing, and then I lag. And sometimes kids perpetuate that
Okay.
during the lesson, but
Okay. So do you feel like we could accomplish, I mean, I wonder if we do kind of work on that mini lesson structure, we can really be intentional about how we plan that. And then also I can collect some data on that praise to correction ratio that can just sort of be inlaid into what we're doing, if that's
I
important
would
to
like
you.
that. Yeah.
Because and you can feel it. I mean, I've felt it lately with kids where I'm like, I don't really feel like anything that came out of my mouth was as positive as it was 2 months ago.
Right.
And that doesn't feel good.
Well,
So-
yesterday was an amazing day, and the whole group had a great day, but I realized that I was setting those goals for myself and fulfilling them. And today I'm back to not doing it.
And
been a
it's
rough day.
hard to think, it's hard to keep all of that balanced and going. So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we want to work on the elements of a mini lesson to tighten up and maximize time and embed ratio of praise to correction. Okay. Sorry, I'm still learning all the questions too. So what teaching strategy, I feel like we kind of already will define sort of through a checklist, like, and I think we can honestly use the mini lesson checklist that I've been using for walkthroughs, because
Sure.
that kind of defines, but maybe we can add a couple pieces to help us stay on track for what you want to do.
Okay.
Like a time piece, maybe we can chunk that out so we can start tracking that too. Like, oh man, that first part, it took 7 minutes to get the papers out and get going. And that is probably why it felt like the kids were not quite with me at that moment.
And easily lost.
Yep.
With engagement.
Right. So do you feel like our next steps would be doing some planning together?
Sure.
And that way we can kind of be on the same page
Yeah.
for writing? Okay. Do you have a different writing schedule? Because of, okay.
Yeah. So
And I know that's where it's going to be funky with
really
testing.
hard, yeah.
But, at least we can get started. And even if we do a little planning together and then you're doing it and you have the checklist, you can kind of start monitoring a little bit. Then we can do some reflection. And I can also try to come in and do some of that with you too.
Awesome, yeah. Coordinate planes, battleships. Okay. So, and I don't know that we need to record this part, but it might be something we have to sit down and actually look at too.
Okay.
What should be priorities and when?
Okay. Let me
Turn it off. Easy, I'll just be like, or